John and Andrew, Philanthropists. For John Burns, exalted teacher for more than half a century in Saugus, Massachusetts, and Andrew Carnegie, a one-time immigrant who built libraries and established universities via his fortune amassed through steel production. John Burns, teacher of English for more than half a century at Saugus High School, close to a dozen miles north of Boston, stood in the near silence of a splendid morning beside his home atop the high ledge, looking down on the pond he had helped save. That other morning, from early in his career, came back as crisp as a knock at the door. He could hear the door opening. Into yesteryear he stepped. How many ways can you say it? John Burns pointed out the words he had printed in block letters on the blackboard for his sophomore English class. Central and Winter Street traffic was light at the edge of hearing. The sun did a moat dance on the windowsill. Outside, Saugus breathed the deep breaths of spring. The stag had drunk his fill at eve. The letters were graffiti size, sprawling. His mind spilled all over itself. Morning had leaped over Vinegar Hill. Back he was where he dreamed he'd be, with his students. Another whole day ahead of him. Another whole day. And Andrew's words were but a few hours old. I'll be waiting at the library, in my favorite corner. God, he loved his students. The way their eyes lit up the morning, their cheeks ablaze, the energy pumping through the class. And him, young old him, mere months from the deck of a destroyer, the USS Carlson. It was where the brittle sea around him, for the first time in 4 long years, had fallen stark still, silent as a torpedo might have been, or the end of an exceptional poem when you're caught up in the middle of it. Ah, let them say there was a burst of fragrance from black branches. This class was different from his recent shipmates. The fatigue was not here, or the quiet review of immediate hysteria, or the known awareness of cataclysm, of the soulful realization that home was on the horizon, and one stray Japanese submarine with its radio long out of order and not aware the war was over might lurk as a predatory fish. Flagler, of course, was the first to respond of his students, from the back of the room, receptive, observant, bursting with an odd imagination. He was round-faced, eyes deeper than others, time being measured in the mill of his mind. Honest metaphors hung at his mouth like parts of a leftover meal. And his brother Dawson was still listed as missing in action. Le mail avait poussé souffrance à la vie. La surf avait beau remplir sa vie. John knew Flagler could have said it also twice in Spanish or Russian or High Italian. Probably could rip it off in Morse code. Da dit da did it like a sparks aboard ship, or with the sounds of the telegrapher at the Cliftondale Railroad Station. How many Flaglers would he find in his career now that he was back at it? There'd be more than this one, but they'd be years apart, he figured. Flagellers, he admitted, you had to contend with, move to another dimension, excite. Perhaps there would be no secret to it. No, in English, John said. How many ways? What way would sound best? What way would hum best in your ears? Think about what I'm asking you. For a moment he thought of folding his hands in prayer. Quickly he put the thought aside. 11 years earlier, he'd been sitting where they were. Was his voice tinny, he wondered? Did it carry the way one of the Carlson bulkheads would carry it, sometimes hollow, reaching, the flush of the sea never far removed? Now and then the anchor chain, a storm against bow plates, Pacifica turmoil. Andrew, from his favorite corner in the library, would tell him without a doubt. Andrew knew everything. Around the classroom he looked, assessing, drawing, daring, setting his eyes on this pair, on that pair. It would not be Flagler's response against, he was sure. Flagler had run his course on it. The French translation had been a carry-all statement for him. It stood as representative of all the other language he had crusaded through in his few years. At eve as Phil, the stag, had drunk. The voice was feminine, firm, though faint. It was Elizabeth again, his own Emily, leaning out of the sunny window all the way from Amherst. Bangs covered her brow now, dark bangs. He'd rather not see her wearing bangs. Her dress was simple, half sleeves, a wide collar, her cheeks pale, without rouge. At eve the stag as Phil had drunk. As Phil at eve the stag had drunk. She smiled, almost stretching herself in her seat, holding back, not wanting to hold back, the light radiant about her head, Emily posturing from the other end of the state, there but almost not, wispy. Kind heart had wet his mouth. He could see her use of white space, how the form of it came from white space, how it would arrange itself in his ear. White space has a sound of its own, he could hear her say. She was teasing him, his Emily, this Elizabeth, her body language never curt or abrupt. She was his first poet back home. Would Andrew ever talk to her? Could she listen, or be ever lost in her own words? The sailor Connaughton's face came out of the abridged Pacific, the poetic topside Airedale, and his voice, his final voice still in his ear. My ship will sail this silent sea. He'd never let go of that Connaughton. He'd gone with a single kamikaze, a ricochet shot right off the deck like the 8-ball in the side pocket. Now he was an echo that sounded every day. He wished Emily Elizabeth could meet Andrew. They would revel in May-December conversations. But Andrew didn't talk to a whole lot of people. In fact, to no others as far as John knew. Flagler for the moment looked hurt, his pursed lips saying so, the compressed brow, the angel hair at his eyes. Nobody had heard a word about his brother in months. Nothing out of Japan. Nothing.